A Ukrainian soldier hears the approach of heavy armored vehicles and quickly runs to his position to report to the commander. Russian artillery units provide cover to the armored forces to prevent Ukrainian soldiers from leaving their trenches and launching a counterattack. However, the artillery fire fails to stop the drone unit assigned to the assault from encountering the Russian armored vehicles. Therefore, the drone operators receive immediate orders to attack. The drones ascend into the sky, heading toward their designated targets. The first drone drops near a tank. But since Ukrainian forces have many drones, this is only the beginning. Although the tank continues to advance slowly, it won't last long. After several shots, the enemy vehicles come to a complete stop. A reconnaissance drone spots another enemy unit approaching from a different direction. A Russian soldier notices the drone and opens fire. Judging by the advance of the Russian tanks, it appears they are trying to complicate maneuvers in order to surprise Ukrainian forces. However, to capture these positions, they must cross more tree lines and a mined area. The first tank is halted. Then the second tank makes an attempt, but also fails. Artillery units immediately open fire on the immobilized armored targets. The Russian forces regroup and plan a flanking attack. The second wave moves in. An armored personnel carrier hits a mine and explodes. A tank tries to go around the mine, but it also detonates. Only 2 targets remain in the field. The Russians' final assault must be stopped. An armored personnel carrier is pushed forward. Instead of retreating, it bypasses the minefield and heads directly for the target. Leopard tanks actively contribute to the defense. Since the start of the attack, they have been striking Russian vehicles. Russian commanders deploy their remaining troops, but when they reach the minefield, it's all over. The Russian assault ends here. With 2 brigades and more than 100 vehicles, they failed to reach their objective. The result? Dozens of tanks and armored personnel carriers destroyed. Now let's look at the Russians' other attack attempts. Tanks leave the battlefield. Their mission is to break through one of the flanks. The operation begins with shelling of the target area. Part of the column, under cover, is already positioned at the front line. Now they are exposed. A tank, an MTLB loaded with ammunition, and 2 armored personnel carriers advance. A smoke screen is deployed. The Ukrainians used a javelin missile to stop the attack. The crew quickly reacts and targets the MTLB. But within minutes, they take a hit from the side. It appears to be the result of a Ukrainian tank firing from behind cover, guided by a drone. The advance is completely halted. Ukrainian artillery switches to cluster munitions. A drone drops an explosive, followed by an FPV drone striking the tank. The MTLB is engulfed in flames. Another drone drops more munitions, triggering the tank's smoke grenades. This operation was doomed from the start. Before the fighting even began, the enemy lost its first armored personnel carrier. Then, a tank hit a mine and exploded. But no retreat order was given. Instead, they moved into open ground. Under Ukrainian fire, they were forced to turn back. The previously disabled tank now burns completely. A Russian tank taking a different route enters a mined-wooded area. An armored personnel carrier makes the same mistake. FPV drones attack the immobilized APC. The tank comes under heavy fire. A new breakthrough attempt begins. This time, 3 armored personnel carriers are sent forward. A drone dives into the second one. Direct hit. The lead vehicle advances and hits a mine. Smoke rises first, then flames. The vehicle behind becomes the next target. Another direct hit. And another. The APC is destroyed. The assault ends in failure. After detecting the enemy force, the Azov unit quickly moves into action. The Russians send 2 APCs for reconnaissance. Their goal is to reach the village and dig in defensive positions. They have already advanced to the village outskirts. Drones are deployed. Following an FPV strike, another drone drops a bomb. One APC is stopped. The other continues advancing. The first APC is set on fire. The second reaches the village but cannot pass the mine barrier. A Ukrainian tank moves in. Drones continue their strikes. The vehicle enters the tank's kill zone. The Russian armored vehicle explodes. The advance is completely stopped in the village. A drone drops explosives in a direct hit. The second vehicle hits a mine. A strike aircraft lands a perfect hit on a tank. The assault collapses entirely. At the start of the next wave, a Russian tank leads. The convoy includes 2 tanks and 3 APCs. Ukrainian forces are waiting. The first result comes instantly. The force is halted. An APC, while reversing, enters the minefield. Another vehicle is struck by an FPV drone. The Russian troops decide to retreat, but hit more mines. Morale collapses entirely. One vehicle makes a wide turn to escape the trap, but fails. The area begins to fill with wrecked Russian armored vehicles. Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, armored convoys have played a central role in offensive operations. Tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and supply trucks form the backbone of Russia's ground assault capability. For Ukraine, stopping these convoys is not only a tactical necessity but also a strategic imperative, as disrupting them undermines the enemy's ability to sustain prolonged offensive action. Over the course of the war, Ukrainian forces have refined a layered, highly adaptive strategy that blends modern technology with classical defensive warfare techniques to intercept, disable, and destroy Russian convoys before they can achieve their objectives. The process begins with reconnaissance. Ukrainian intelligence services, frontline scouts, and specialized drone units constantly monitor Russian movements, both near the front and deep behind enemy lines. Unmanned aerial vehicles, ranging from small commercial quadcopters to long-endurance military drones, patrol the skies, searching for signs of large vehicle concentrations, unusual movement patterns, or logistical buildups. The intelligence gathered is transmitted in real time to command centers, where it is analyzed and matched with satellite imagery, electronic intercepts, and reports from civilian informants. This intelligence network ensures that few Russian convoys move without Ukrainian forces being aware of their presence. Once a convoy's movement is detected, Ukrainian forces assess its composition and purpose. High-value targets such as tanks, ammunition carriers, and fuel trucks are prioritized, as their destruction can cripple an entire offensive effort. Minefields are one of the first layers of defense. Ukrainian engineers strategically place anti-tank mines along likely routes of advance, often in conjunction with natural terrain barriers like rivers, tree lines, or narrow passes. Mines serve a dual purpose. They can outright destroy a vehicle, and they can also slow or halt a convoy, forcing it into pre-designated kill zones where artillery and anti-tank units are already waiting. Artillery plays a decisive role in these engagements. Using precision coordinates provided by drones, Ukrainian artillery units, equipped with systems like the M777 howitzer, Caesar self-propelled guns, and HIMARS rocket launchers, open fire on immobilized or clustered vehicles. These strikes are often rapid and concentrated, designed to cause maximum destruction in the shortest possible time. In many cases, the first few minutes of an ambush determine its success. If enough vehicles are disabled early on, the rest of the convoy is forced to stop or scatter, making them easier targets. Modern anti-tank guided missiles have proven to be another critical tool. Systems such as the Javelin, NLAW, and Ukraine's own Stugna P allow small mobile teams to engage armored vehicles from concealed positions. These weapons can be deployed quickly, strike from long range, and hit tanks in their most vulnerable spots, such as the top of the turret or the rear engine deck. The combination of missile strikes with drone-guided artillery has been particularly effective in eliminating Russian armor before it can deploy troops or fire upon Ukrainian positions. FPV, first-person view. Kamikaze drones have added a new layer to Ukraine's anti-convoy strategy. Operated by skilled pilots, these drones are flown directly into the target, delivering small but highly precise, explosive payloads. Unlike artillery, which can be detected by sound and avoided with quick movement, FPV drones are silent until impact, making them extremely difficult for armored crews to counter. Drone strikes are often used to finish off damaged vehicles, destroy key components like optics or tracks, or force crews to abandon their vehicles. The impact of these tactics is not only physical, but psychological. Russian crews advancing into contested areas know that they are constantly being watched from above. The knowledge that any movement could trigger a mine, a missile strike, or a drone attack erodes morale over time. Many Russian convoys now move more cautiously, slowing down the pace of operations and giving Ukrainian defenders more time to prepare. The destruction of a convoy is rarely the end of the process. Once an ambush is complete, Ukrainian forces often conduct follow-up strikes on recovery teams, fuel depots, and command vehicles, ensuring that the damage cannot be easily repaired. In some cases, captured equipment is recovered and repurposed for Ukrainian use. In others, wreckage is left in place as both an obstacle to further enemy movement and a visible reminder of the risks of advancing without air and route security. Over the months of fighting, these tactics have had a significant cumulative effect. Russian offensive operations in several sectors have stalled, not because of a lack of manpower, but because the necessary armored support could not reach the front intact. Convoy losses also strain Russian logistics, forcing them to divert resources to vehicle replacement and repair, and reducing the overall tempo of operations. Ukraine's success in countering armored convoys illustrates the changing nature of modern ground warfare. While tanks and heavy armor remain powerful symbols of military might, they are increasingly vulnerable to a well-coordinated combination of intelligence, drones, precision-guided munitions, and defensive engineering. In this conflict, the advantage often lies with the side that can see the enemy first, strike with accuracy, and adapt quickly to changing battlefield conditions. For Ukraine, this adaptability has turned what might have been overwhelming Russian armored assaults into a series of costly and often unsuccessful advances. In the long term, these methods are likely to influence military strategy worldwide. The integration of aerial reconnaissance, mine warfare, and precision strikes into a single, fluid defensive system has shown that even a numerically smaller force can effectively neutralize a larger mechanized opponent. For now, on the fields and roads of Ukraine, these tactics continue to buy time, save lives, and prevent the enemy from achieving its operational goals.